Matt Migas has plenty on his mind, and he's ready to share it with the world. It's time to hear the Migas Mindset.
Welcome into the Migas Mindset, brought to you by Marucci Hitters House of Lafayette, here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Matt Migas here. We got several things to get to. We'll talk about the New Orleans Saints and an offseason update with them. We'll also get into the Houston Astros finding some success here on this little North America road trip. And then we'll dive into the U.S. soccer team failing to reach the knockout round of the Copa America tournament for the first time in their history while hosting the event. Let's start with the New Orleans Saints. However, currently rated the worst offensive line by Pro Football Focus, which, look, I'm going to be honest, kind of makes a lot of sense. They weren't great last year. You'll probably be without Ryan Ramczyk. You lost Andrus Peat. So there's tons of new faces on the offensive line. It's young talent, but not experienced. Taliesin Fuaga, who you drafted in the first round, probably going to start at left tackle. Nick Saldivari, who you drafted last year and missed most of the season with an injury, probably going to play left guard. And then you have Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz at center and right guard. And then you swap Trevor Penning over to right tackle. That's the projection. That's the idea right now here in July. We'll see if that actually holds to fruition come the beginning of the season. But again, I'm not really surprised with the fact that Pro Football Focus looked at their group so low. But I think that they move up much higher as the season goes on. Peyton Turner entering a contract year. He needs a big season if he wants to stay around in New Orleans, strictly because he hasn't really delivered. Granted, he's been injured a lot, but you bring in Chase Young on an incentive-heavy deal, hoping that maybe he can turn his career around in New Orleans. So Peyton Turner needs to have a big year if he wants to have a future in the black and gold. The Houston Astros picking up a win on Monday over Toronto, 3-1, extending that win streak to 3 games before that got snapped last night against the Toronto Blue Jays, 7-6. They play Toronto tonight, 6:07, which you can hear here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, before a noon game in Toronto for the 4th of July. So America's pastime on America's Independence Day in Canada. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And you can hear both of those here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, before they head to Minnesota for a 3-game weekend series with the Twins on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 7:10 on Friday, 1:10 on Saturday, and then 1:10 on Sunday. All right, let's get to the elephant in the room. The United States soccer team, Copa America, hosting the Copa America tournament. And look, this has been deemed U.S. soccer's golden generation. Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Giovanni Reyna, Serginho Dest, Timothy Weah. You have tons of young talent that were supposed to mesh together and really create a golden opportunity for the United States. And you failed again. 2018, failing to qualify for the World Cup was embarrassing. You rebounded by relying on this young talent. And in 2022, you make it to the round of 16 of the World Cup, which was a step in the right direction. You left Qatar with a ton of promise for not only Copa America, but beyond the 2026 World Cup, which you're hosting. And what happens in Copa America? You open up with a 2-0 win against Bolivia, which, felt good. And then everything kind of went to hell when you went a man down 18 minutes in against Panama and end up losing that game 2-1 after giving up 2 late goals. And then Monday night against Uruguay, 0-0. You find out that Bolivia ties the game with Panama, so you can get in on a draw, and literally seconds later, Uruguay scores a goal. Granted, controversial one, but a goal nonetheless, and they were able to win that game 1-0 and knock you out of your own Copa America tournament. I'm going to put this plain and simple. Greg Berhalter needs to be fired. He just has not gotten the most out of his players here in 2024, and even before that. Looking at his record against teams in the top 30 in the world. He's 6, 10, and 8. The 250 winning percentage. It's just not good enough with the talent that they have. Now, granted, the players aren't scot-free either. There comes a point where they just have to execute, and they fail to do that as well. So, really interested to see what changes they make, if any. They need to make changes because 2026 is coming real quick, and you don't want to fall flat on your face in a World Cup that you're hosting. You just absolutely do not want to do that. So they got to figure it out, and they've got to figure it out pretty quickly. 4th of July weekend coming up. I hope everybody has a safe 4th of July. Make sure you subscribe to our social media at ESPN_SWLA and follow us here on YouTube, ESPN Southwest Louisiana. Click on the bell so you can get notifications when we post all of our great content, such as Over Par, Cleats and Sneaks, For Tire Change with Dawson Igerlo, and so much more. Once again, have a very happy and safe 4th of July weekend, and we'll talk to you next week here on the Migas Mindset, brought to you by Marucci Hitters House of Lafayette on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Charlotte.